Today I'm going to be buying a 2020 Range Rover Sport HST, buying it for $14,000, and I'm going to see if I can flip it. You know, the average going rate is about $35,000 to $40,000 for one of these right now. So I'm going to see if I can fix it. It's been at 2 other shops. Nobody's been able to fix it. Customer abandoned it, and the shop that I'm buying it from ended up putting a lien on it. So they're selling it to me super cheap. That's how I'm able to get it for such a low price. Now I just have to see if I can fix it and if I can profit on it. So this is one of the bigger risks that I've taken flipping cars. So I'm going to be posting about it and see how it goes. Cool, so tow truck just delivered my new Range Rover HST. Looks like it hasn't ran in a while. Definitely needs some tires. Let's see what else is going on with it. The shop I bought it from said they don't know, they can't get it to run, they can't get it to start. I went ahead and changed the battery in it. It came with everything disassembled. And I put a new battery in it, and it starts and it runs. So that's kind of a good sign. It seems to have a low coolant warning on. Range Rovers are notorious for having cooling issues. It's also a Canada car. This thing came from Canada. It's in kilometers, but everything seems to be working. Change this shit back to miles because what the fuck is even a kilometer? Found a couple of service records. Looks like it was definitely maintained. Oh, probably shouldn't show the old person's address. But it looks like it was dealer maintained at Jaguar Land Rover Woodland Hills, down the street from me. What else do we got? It's got a couple of weird, it's definitely female owned. I found, I don't know what that is. I don't want to touch it. Oh, there's a Bible. I don't want to touch that either. Fuck. Here, let me move it with a stick. Oh, there you go. Get that shit out of here. Has a heads-up display, which is super cool. It's got some weird things going on with the fitment of the console, so I definitely have to sort that out. And that looks like children for sure. There's probably some kids. And look at that, I found a amethyst, which is really nice. It's funny because in one of my other Range Rovers, I let somebody borrow it. And I had an amethyst that I would always, it was a round amethyst that I would always keep like in there, kind of like that. It was round, so it would fit perfectly in there. And I let somebody borrow the car and it just disappeared. I never got the amethyst back. Like I got the car back, but the amethyst was gone. So I was kind of like, what the fuck, you know? And then they were like, oh, I don't know what happened to it. And it's funny that now I buy another Range Rover and I get my amethyst back in a different form. So that's pretty cool. I like how raw this is too. Definitely very nice. I'm gonna leave that up here in the sun, charge it up. Has a Meridian sound system, so that's super nice. Soft closed doors, heads up display, all the cool modern functionality. I'm kind of like a serial killer when it comes to like flipping cars. I always keep an item of every car that I sell. So I got like pictures of people's children and shit in like in like a little storage cubby in my toolbox. So I don't know what I'm gonna keep from this car. I'm not gonna count the amethyst. So I'm probably gonna keep like I don't know, what should I keep? I'm gonna keep digging around and see if I find anything else, but I'm gonna keep something. All right, update on this car. Basically, we have an issue with the charging system on this vehicle. This has a mild hybrid EV, which uses a 48 volts EV battery. And basically the alternator on this MHEV acts as like a propulsion / starter / alternator. So there's an issue with the system, and I managed to diagnose it being the DC-DC converter, which I'll explain a little bit more in a second once I go ahead and change it out. Just don't know why this won't focus, but yeah. So yeah, I basically went out and changed my DC to DC converter, and I had to jump start it, obviously, since it's dead, even with the new battery. But now we are charging 13.5 volts, baby. So I'm really disappointed in whoever worked on this car last. Whoever was that worked on it was like a total fucking Neanderthal. I mean, this person was just the fucking sloppiest of the sloppiest I've ever seen. Like, they tried to remove this module and they broke it in the process. Module still works, but they destroyed the housing, which sucks, you know. Like, the module's still working. I don't know if I should replace this or not, but you know, they did a lot of weird shit with this car. They just tore it apart. I mean, they had zero fucking mechanical ability. Like they broke all these tabs. So it's just a bunch of little bullshit that now I have to deal with and I have to replace to make sure that it's fixed properly. But the first problem is already fixed, and that's the reason why I got this car. And yeah, basically you have an MHEV, mild hybrid electric vehicle, and the generator on these types of vehicles can produce pretty much 60 volts, and then you have a 60 volts AC. So if you know the difference between AC and DC current, this thing will produce up to 60 volts AC, and then you have a regulator and DC converter, which will convert those 60 volts to 48 volts DC. But vehicles by law have to have a 12 volt operating system, and most cars still have a 12 volt operating system. So then you cannot convert DC to DC. So you have to convert DC 48 volts back to AC 48 volts, down to 12 volts AC, and then back to 12 volts DC. So basically that's what this converter does. That's what it's responsible for. It does a lot of work. It gets extremely hot, which is why it has a sink built into its internals. Now I'm going to lift the car and show you what the mechanism, or what the box that it resides in, looks like. So here we have our DC-DC converter installed. So you can see has its own fan system. It's got its own RAM in there to be able to cool this thing down because it gets so hot. It's got a terminal distribution block here. It's got its mega jumbo connectors. Look how big these connectors are. The size of my finger. My massive sausage finger. My salad finger. And here's the cover for it down there. I'm gonna go ahead and pop this in. So I'm currently driving this thing. I decided to turn on my washers because the windshield was so dirty, and I think I made it worse. But the heads-up display is working real nice. No warnings. Oh, actually, you know what? I did get an oil level warning saying that I don't have enough oil in it, but I actually checked that before I drove it, so I know that it's probably just a bad sensor. This thing did sit for quite a while because nobody was able to fix it. So there could be some other issues that I don't know about yet that are going to present themselves. But everything else seems to be working fine. I got no codes, no check engine light. Ambient lighting, super nice. So that's always pretty good. I'm gonna put some new windshield wipers on it right now. And I'm just gonna drive it around a little bit before I sing victory. So I got my new wipers installed. Now I have that nice crystal clear windshield. And drove it another couple of minutes, and of course check engine light is on now. Still have that oil level warning that appears, disappears, reappears, disappears again. So obviously I got a couple more things that I have to look into. Still haven't done an oil change on this car, so that's probably the next thing I have to really do. And I'm gonna scan some codes and see what I get. So I'm gonna do that right now. Alright, so we got 6 engine codes. We got exhaust pressure regulator, vent solenoid control, engine oil level sensor, circuit low, engine coolant pump control, circuit low, engine oil pressure control, circuit low, piston cooling oil control, circuit low, camshaft A position sensor. Alright, so since we have multiple oil issues here, oil pressure issues, I'm going to disregard the P0341 for the camshaft position sensor A. And all of these circuit low codes indicate that something's either plugged in, something's either unplugged, or there's a torn wire somewhere, or maybe these share a bus, otherwise known as a common circuit. And if I have the common circuit is down, anything on that circuit is going to come down with it, which would make a lot of sense. So the next thing I have to do is look at wiring diagrams and see if I can find out what these codes pertain to. Then I also noticed that the fan is stuck on high, which is an indicator that there's maybe something wrong with the cooling system. Probably because the engine coolant pump control circuit is low. That's probably why I have a fan that's on high. Sometimes when your coolant pump fails and it's electric, the computer can detect that, and it'll turn on your fans on high by default to try to prevent any kind of overheating issues. So here's where it gets interesting. When I go into my battery energy control module, I have a ton of codes. Look at that. And this is a 6-cylinder, yet I have cylinder 9 and cylinder 7 codes. That could be indicator that the module itself is bad. Or it could be an indicator that the coding is incorrect on it, which is very possible. I don't know where this car was. I don't know what's been done to this car. For all I know, they could have thrown a used battery control module in here, and it might not be for the right car. So, I mean, look, I have a total of 1,202 codes. 1,202. I don't think I've ever seen that many codes on a car before, which is kind of fucking crazy. So, you know what? What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back. I'm going to disconnect, and I'm going to do a global OBD2. So let me explain that a little bit. Basically, think about each different vehicle manufacturer is its own operating system. It speaks its own language. Kind of like you have Android, you have PC, and you have Mac, right? Those are all different languages. Every single car that you have is going to speak its own language. So I would basically need like 30 different manufacturer scan tools to be able to scan every vehicle. So I have this aftermarket Snap-on scan tool that's called Zeus Plus. This is going to kind of translate every single language that every vehicle speaks, and this will allow me to connect to different kinds of vehicles for about $11,000, whereas every manufacturer scan tool would cost about $20K. We have this little thing here in the United States, the best country in the world, that's called the Right to Repair Act. Basically, it allows any type of independent shop or independent person to be able to diagnose and repair any vehicle. Thus, OBD2 Direct was born. OBD2 is a common language that every vehicle in the United States has to speak by law, which allows you to use things like pocket scan tools. Now, this scan tool will read every single manufacturer data of any supporting vehicle, but because I have 1,000 codes, I'm going to go to OBD2 Direct, which is a common language in the United States, and this will pretty much give me the base codes that I'm going to be looking at, and these are the codes I'm going to try to diagnose first, and I'm going to be taking that step by step. I probably won't do it tonight because I want to go home, but let me go ahead and scan this real time. We're going to hit mode 3, and let's see if we can find out what codes we have on here that are causing this light to come on. And it's only one code. So even though I have over 1,200 manufacturer specific codes, I only have one code that is causing this check engine light to come on. And that code is going to be related to my camshaft position sensor A circuit range performance. So notice this isn't a circuit low or a circuit high code. This is a circuit range performance, which tells me that either my camshaft positioning sensor is bad, or I have a timing system that's out of time, or it's possible that the system was dry, and because this car sat for so long that on my first drive cycle it triggered a P0341. So what I'm probably going to do is clear this code and see if it comes back. Most likely it will, but keep in mind that I have a lot of oil pressure codes that are going along with this. So the camshaft positioning system, the variable valve timing, relies on oil and oil pressure to be able to operate. So if I have an oil pressure problem, that's a clue. So I'm kind of done for today. I'm pretty much about, I would say, 3 hours into this car. I've spent about 3 hours looking into it, trying to figure it out, trying to fix it. I'm going to work on my SVR next, which is going to do a couple of more modifications to it just to make the driving experience a little bit better. So let me go ahead and park this up. Yeah, I'm basically about 3 hours into this, and I've spent a total of $929.10 on that DC to DC converter module. So I'm about $1,000 into it at this point. I'm going to keep looking at this tomorrow and see what else I can find from it. I got these over from my buddies at Jaguar Land Rover, which this vehicle has been to before. And let's see what happens tomorrow when I take a little bit of more time to try to diagnose the problem. And we're back. So I went ahead and did an oil change, changed the air filters, and the car seems to be running a lot better than it was yesterday. The P0341 didn't come back. None of the 1200 codes that I had from that EV battery control module came back. However, I keep getting the turbocharger, I keep getting the engine coolant pump, the oil pressure control circuit low, the piston oil cooling circuit low, and I keep getting the exhaust bypass valve that keep coming back. They're not OBD2 codes, they're manufacturer codes, but for whatever reason, none of these codes seem to turn my check engine light on. So I'm going to go ahead and load up my all data here, 2020 Range Rover Sport, and I'm going to go ahead and check my diagrams. The fact that they're all circuit low codes kind of tells me that there's something weird going on. I'm going to look at the diagrams and see if these circuits are connected. We're going to go ahead and look at our OE wiring diagrams. I'm going to look for the powertrain management. This gives us the option between diesel or petrol. This is a petrol engine. So we're going to go ahead and tally-ho. Well, actually, I can't do a British accent. So anyway, what I'm going to be looking for right now is going to be looking for those components. So I'm looking for, let's go ahead and look for the engine oil pressure control valve and the piston oil cooling circuits or oil cooling valve or whatever that may be. So I'm going to go through my diagrams, kind of scavenge through everything until I find whatever it is that I'm looking for. Diagram number 2, and we're going to go ahead and see here. Nothing that I need. None of this is it. Let's go ahead and hit the next one. Nothing here. Gotta go here. Nothing there. It's just a. So yeah, that's just an active grill shutter. Here we have crankshaft position sensors, amplifier, ignition coils. Next one. Here we have coolant pump, auxiliary coolant pump. That's going to be something that we're going to look at, but let's look for the oil pressure issues first. Mirrors, thermostats, NOx sensors, electric supercharger. Oh yeah, this thing has a supercharger, by the way. Accelerator pedal position sensor, fuel rail sensors, variable valve lift solenoids, fuel injectors. Let me keep searching until I find what I'm looking for. Otherwise, I'm just going to make a long video. Alright, I found it. Solenoid oil jet piston cooling solenoid oil pump. So it looks like these are controlled, these are ground side control solenoids, which are controlled by the powertrain control module, aka ECM, engine control module. And would you look at that, they have a common power. Whenever the lines intersect and have a little dot in the diagram, that basically means that both of the wires join in. And here we're looking at, let's go ahead and trace this to circuit A. So now I have to find circuit A. No circuit A, no circuit A, no circuit A, no circuit A, circuit A, there we go. Okay, so circuit A ends off there and then continues on over here, and then funny enough it connects to the variable coolant pump. So there you go, that's another common circuit. And notice that this is also part of the power supply of the variable coolant pump. So 3 of the codes that we just found out share a common circuit. So it looks like we're onto something here. We're going to go back to the rest of that circuit and we're going to trace it. So now we're back at the oil jet piston cooling solenoid and this oil pump solenoid. This time we're going to go ahead and follow the next circuit, which is going to be an AS circuit right here. We're going to go ahead and go back till we find that AS circuit. That's A circuit again, and then we're looking for AS. Okay, so it's probably going to be over here somewhere. AS circuit right there. So we're going to go ahead and trace that. There's another common circuit here, AP, but this AS circuit is going to go to fuse number 23E, 10 amp fuse. So would you look at that? They all share a common fuse. And now let's look for the next one, the next joint here, the next splice, sorry, the proper terminology is splice. It's going to be AP. So we're going to go back, and search for that AP. I missed one here. AP, here we go. AP continues over, and it goes to active exhaust solenoid. Look at that. All the 4 codes that continue to pop up all share one common fuse. Fuse 23E 10 amp fuse. So now we're going to go walk over to our car. Looks like it's going to be fuse box in here. So I have to take these clips out. Let me zoom out there. Take this clip out. Take this clip out. Take this clip out. Take that 4th clip out. Pop this out. Pop this out. And here we're going to have one of our fuse boxes. I think this thing has a few fuse boxes. And we're looking at our fuse box. Fuse 23 is going to be 3rd from the right on the upper row, which would be 1, 2, and 3. Let's pull the fuse. Let's have a look. Where are you? Focus. Focus, 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 focus. Oh. I'm just going to take a picture. But yep, it's definitely blown. Oh, there it is. It's focused. And I'm not ready. So I can measure it with a DMM, but I'm just going to show you the visual. You can see where this tiny little fuse is fractured right there. Come on, man, focus. I'll take a picture. And I actually don't have this fuse in stock. This is the latest version of fuses. They're extremely tiny. They're smaller than the micros. So I ran out of 10s. I don't have a fuse to replace it with. I don't have any 15s either. So what I'm going to do is look up the horn circuit. I'm just going to steal the fuse from the horn, since I won't be honking at anyone anytime soon. And usually they're 10 or 15 amp. This one's 15 amp. It's in a junction box in the engine, same fuse box, 11E. It's going to be a 15 amp fuse. So you want to be careful when you go to a larger fuse size, because you start really running the risk of a fire. 15 should be okay. You have to remember that if this fuse is blown, it probably blew for a reason. So we probably have a circuit malfunction in one of the components that it shares a common circuit with, or we have an issue somewhere. So I'll go ahead and hook up the horn fuse and see what happens. Go ahead and swapped over the fuse. I'm going to be clearing these codes. It's a bit of a process. It's going to want me to... Oh, it didn't make me turn off the car. So, okay, let's read the codes again. And I still have one code that keeps coming back. Piston oil cooling control circuit high. So, I may actually have an issue with this circuit. But it's a good thing that that's the only one that came back. So, I'll have to take some time to try to find out what's causing this issue. Let's go ahead and start this car up. Check engine lights off. And it sounds like our fans are back to normal operating speed here, which is good, because this fan has such a high output. Yeah, if you've ever worked on Land Rovers have some of the most powerful fans in the world. They make so much noise, it's really crazy. Yeah, so I guess we're kind of done for now. And it's maintenance time on my other Range Rover. So I'm going to be doing some brakes on this bad boy next, and giving it just a good service, because it's my snowmobile. So we'll continue with this one some other time. I did wash it. Went through the drive-through car wash, so I'll post a picture of it so you guys can see what it looks like now. Alright, so we're back once again, and I put in the 15 amp fuse last time, and right over there, right, and it blew it instantly. So basically we definitely have a short in the system. So last time we went over this, we had a couple of components that are all powered by that same fuse. One being the variable coolant pump, another being the active exhaust solenoid, and then we had a couple of other things that were also hooked up there. I think I have to scroll down for that. The oil pressure solenoid and the oil cooling jet solenoid. And so basically one of these components, was it 4? One of these 4 components is probably shorted out, which is causing that fuse to blow, or I have a cut in one of my wires that's physical, and that could be the problem. So one of the ways that we can determine the short is by using a DMM and measuring every component and seeing how many ohms are present in the component. Or we can take the wires, we can isolate the wires and put one lead on ground and then the other lead on the wire and see if there's a short that way. Or we can do it the uneducated way, which is often the simplest and best way to do it, and that's going to be by unplugging each component and then installing a fuse and seeing if it blows the fuse again. If it blows the fuse again, that component's probably not the problem, and we move on to the next component and the next component and the next component until we find the component that's causing the problem. If none of the components cause the problem or fix the problem when they're disconnected, then that means there's 100% going to be a short somewhere in one of my wires or potentially even in the fuse box itself. So we can do this the lazy way, which is going to be by unplugging and rechecking. And when I look at this car, it hasn't really been tampered with. All the clips are present, everything's where it's supposed to be. So, you know, unless there's a common known problem with the wiring, I don't think it's going to be a short in the wire. Sometimes manufacturers will do things where like they'll put a wiring harness and it'll rest on like a corner, right? So like, let's say this is metal, it'll rest on this corner. And what ends up happening is with the vibration of the engine, the corner of the engine block will eventually cut its way into the wiring harness, causing a short in the wiring harness. But as far as I'm concerned, that's not a common issue in this Land Rover platform, and it hasn't been tampered with, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. So I'm going to start with my variable coolant pump. As you can see, it's a 2-pin component, or 2-connector component. So I'm going to have one connector with a violet, you can see VT, that means violet, and one OG/YE, that's going to be orange yellow. So we're going to find the connector that has the orange, yellow, and violet wires on them, and we're going to go ahead and unplug it. And when we do that, we're going to see if the fuse continues to blow. If it stops, then that means we've solved the issue, or at least figured out the issue. And in this case, our water pump is down there. And if you can see, oh, come on, this is going to be difficult to show you guys. Where are you? Sometimes this is why I don't make videos, because I spend so much time trying to get cameras and stuff to focus. It's really annoying. But basically, my connector is right over there. Come on, buddy. You can't see it, but my orange, yellow, and violet wire is going to be right behind this connector. I'm going to go ahead and unplug that and see if I solve the problem. So you can see right there where it's been disconnected. That's my water pump power supply. There's my orange and yellow with violet wire. That's where it's supposed to be plugged in. It's unplugged. I replaced the 10 amp fuse, and it's no longer blowing, which means that that's 100% going to be one of my problems. And just to double check, I have this cool little tool that allows me to check different fuses and just kind of see how much current's running through them. So it's a 10 amp fuse, so we're going to set it for a mini 10 amp. And we're going to go ahead and hook it up through the little test ports. We're going to see that the fuse is active. It's only got a 0.16 amp draw. So this circuit only draws 0.16 amps at the moment, whereas before, even with the 15 amp fuse, it was blowing it, meaning that it was pulling at least 15 amps. So we're good. So we went ahead and cleared the codes. We reread. Now we only have 2 codes left, so some of those have already been fixed. Obviously, we know we need an engine coolant pump because that's what's causing our fuse to blow, so I'm going to go ahead and order one of those. It's going to set me back about $380 or so. And we still have P25 Alpha Bravo 12 piston cooling oil control circuit high. So now clearly there's still a problem with this oil control circuit. So I'm going to hit all data, and I'm going to go ahead and see if I can find where that is. I'm going to hit piston piston cooling. You go ahead and search for that. I'm gonna go ahead and find my components. That's going to be components C1E358A. C1, and this is basically going to show us a diagram of our engine. The front of the engine's over here, the back of the engine's over here. Here you see your, this is going to be your AC compressor, that's going to be your alternator, and the Charlie 1 Echo 358 Alpha is going to be behind the alternator toward the engine block. That's where your oil cooler solenoid is going to be, your oil piston cooler solenoid. It's a tongue twister. So I'm going to see if I can set up my borescope. There's not a lot of room in here to really look at anything. So I'm going to set up a camera and see if I can put my eyes on that solenoid so I can see what condition it looks like, or try to figure out what's going on with it. My camera going all the way under the engine, and I can see there's a coolant leak. And look at that, it's just dripping right on top of that piston oil cooler solenoid. It's literally dripping. You can see that edge right there where you can see the coolant dripping on it. And so that's what's causing this failure, is there's a coolant leak that wasn't repaired on time. And as you can see, there's stalagmites building on the actual solenoid itself. So I think that's going to be the cause of that issue. Oh, I lost it. There you go. So yeah, here's a better picture where you can see, there you go. You can see that coolant dripping right on that solenoid. So I'm going to have to fix a couple of coolant leak repairs on this, replace that solenoid, and then we'll touch base again and see if the problem's still present. I'm going to take a little... So I need to call the dealership and order a couple of more parts for this. One of the downsides of owning a Land Rover is that there's not a lot of aftermarket parts available for the newer platforms. So if you look at, for example, that right there, this coolant junction, you see that color? It's like brown, it's starting to discolor, it's starting to kind of melt a little bit. And that should probably be replaced too, because my intention of this car is to pretty much sell it. I'm going to fix it, and then I'm going to price it under market, and then I'm going to try to get rid of it as fast as possible. If I don't sell it within 2 or 3 weeks, then I'll probably just take it to CarMax. So I don't want the next person that gets this to be fucked over. That's kind of shady and wrong, and there's plenty of money to be made, so there's no reason to cut corners like that on people. But I'm willing to bet I'm going to spend at least another $1,500 maybe on parts once I'm done doing all these coolant repairs. So now that we've discovered these coolant repairs, it's going to probably take me about 5 hours to do this. So I'll probably come in on a Sunday or a Saturday. I'll try to wake up early and just come in and knock it out. If I can keep the repairs on this car under 10 hours of my time total, that would be awesome. And if I can keep my repair costs or my parts that I buy under like $3,000, I think I'm doing pretty well, because that means I'd be getting this car for about 17 grand fixed and everything, detailed, and all that. So I think it's going to be pretty good. For now, I'm going to order these parts. I'll post the cost of the parts once I get them. And for now, I want to go see my baby girl, my baby mama, and my baby dog. So I'll be back once I get all my parts. Later. And we're back one more time. So I went ahead and I ordered my parts. I have a water pump. So if you guys remember that shorted solenoid that I was testing, it's actually this one right here. And it controls the variable speed on the water pump. Then we have the solenoid, which is also shorted, that is being shorted out by the coolant leak. And then this pipe is the one that's leaking. So it's broken and it's leaking. It bolts directly on top of the solenoid on the engine block, and you can see if this were to leak, it would leak right on top of that solenoid. Then we have a thermostat, which is also leaking coolant, that I will also be replacing. Total parts costs $991 for a few things, and then I had to go to Woodland Hills for this. Then I had to go to Santa Monica to pick up the solenoid that was on back order. Sent them on to I one for $282. And there's the culprit right there. This is a leaking pipe that's leaking onto the solenoid, and that's the solenoid. So now we have to remove this pipe with these hoses. That's the thermostat assembly, and that's the water pump, and that's the connector that I had to remove to stop the fuse from blowing up. That's the loose connector right there. Can probably move it with my hand right there. Boop. New water pump, new thermostat, new water outlet, new solenoid. Now reinstalling the generator. Almost there. Home stretch. All set. No warning lights. Drives great. Awesome. No fault code still. Update on the 2020 Range Rover Sport HST. Just got it back from detail. Look at that. I can see the sky in this hood. They did a phenomenal job. Looks incredible. There's a couple of little details that I'm going to be fixing tomorrow. Like for one, these wheels are curved to shit. So I got new tires and I have new wheels. I have new tires and I'm getting the wheels redone tomorrow on the passenger side. Then we have, don't worry about the license plate, that's from a different car. I'm riding dirty in this bitch. The other couple details that it has is it does have a light scratch here. I need to talk to a body shop and see if there's anything that can be done to maybe sand and buff. Look at these big old Brembos, they look really good. And then there's a little bit of a scuff here on the front left corner of the bumper, which honestly it bothers me a lot. I gotta talk to a body shop and see what they'll charge me to repaint this. I probably won't do it just because it's gonna be probably like $2,000. And if I fix it, it's not gonna make the car $2,000 more valuable. So I probably just won't fix it. But interior looks mint. Got the piano black with the heads-up display. Got 63K on the clock. Piano black interior with the two-tone suede and leather. Black headliner with the matching rear, obviously. Looks also passed my smog inspection. So we are California legal. Now I'm just waiting on the title, and once I get the title, it's ready for sale. Let me show you the tires I got for this thing. For tires, we're going to be going with some Yokohamas in 275/40/22. These tires are normally like $450 a piece for mounting and balancing. But I got them for $145 each, which is a deal. And if you're wondering how I was able to get them so cheap, if you didn't know, rubber is an organic compound and it does degrade. It does start to dry rot over time. Therefore, your tires technically have to be replaced every 6 years. It's actually by law. They have to be replaced every 6 years. It's just that nobody enforces it. That law is set by the DOT, which is the Department of Transportation. And the reason why I'm able to get these so cheap is because these have a DOT on them, which is the production date of these tires. These have a 4023, which means they were made on the 40th week of 2023. And since they were made in 2023, they're technically halfway through their shelf life. Therefore, I was able to get them on a wicked sale. But they do have about 3 years before expiration. But if you've ever owned a Range Rover, you go through tires every other year. You need new tires and brakes, mandatory. So I'm not worried about the DOT expiring. and I was able to get an insane deal. I got the full set for just under $700, and I got these things shipped from Miami, and they just arrived. So tomorrow I'll be getting the wheels refurbished and the new tires mounted and balanced, and then the alignment will be done, and we're good. We're all done. One of my favorite features of the Range Rovers, the sport models, are that if you change this to sport mode and then you switch it over to dynamic mode, it turns everything red. So here it'll go to red. It'll change your dash configuration to be in sport mode in red, and then it adds a tachometer to your heads-up display, which is really fucking cool. It opens your exhaust up as well, so it's just a really cool feature. Oh, we just hit like 70 miles per hour on the street. And then you go back to normal, and then everything just kind of goes back to a regular color, and then your tachometer disappears from your HUD, which is pretty fucking cool, honestly. SVR does it too. My SVR turns red whenever I put it in sport mode, and that's when my tune activates. I have it set up for my tune to activate in sport. And I don't know if the other models come with this option as well, but from your screen you can actually hit this button and you can pull up your configuration up top so you can keep track of your laps. It also has a G monitor, which is really fucking dope. So it'll help you time your laps as well as have an idea as to how many G's you're pulling on turns. I can't imagine how many G's you can pull in a Range Rover. I would probably say like 0.8 at the most. I wouldn't try to go over 1 G. Otherwise you might flip the fucking car over. But it's really, really cool. You can see how it works like real time in acceleration right now. When I'm punching it, you see it working. Super, 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 super cool. Gives you your throttle and your brake response as well. Awesome features. I love it.